On November 8, 1864, the United States was in its darkest days with the Civil War still raging. Yet, amidst the chaos, Abraham Lincoln was re-elected as President of the United States. How did he manage to win while the country was deeply divided? This is the story. In the 1850s, the United States became increasingly divided between the North and the South, especially over the issue of slavery. The North wanted to limit the expansion of slavery into Western territories, while the South wanted to preserve and expand it to support their plantation economy. The once powerful Democratic Party began to fracture due to differing views on slavery. In the midst of this tension, the Republican Party emerged as a new force, with its primary agenda being the opposition to the expansion of slavery into new territories. The 1860 election had four main candidates, reflecting the country's deep divisions. 1. Abraham Lincoln from the Republican Party, who opposed the expansion of slavery but did not want to abolish it in states where it already existed. 2. Stephen Douglas from the Northern Democrats, who supported state sovereignty to decide on slavery. 3. John C. Breckinridge from the Southern Democrats, who supported slavery and its expansion. 4. John Bell from the Constitutional Union Party, who sought a peaceful solution to preserve the Union. Lincoln was the most feared candidate by the South due to his stance on slavery. On November 6, 1860, Abraham Lincoln won with 180 electoral votes, defeating all his opponents. He won all the northern states, but received almost no support from the southern states. To the South, this was a disaster. They believed it would destroy their economy and eventually abolish slavery. The first reaction came from South Carolina. On December 20, 1860, South Carolina became the first state to secede from the Union. By early 1861, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas had also seceded. These states formed the Confederate States of America with Jefferson Davis as president in February 1861. They claimed the federal government had no right to interfere in state decisions. Meanwhile, Lincoln and the Union government refused to recognize the Confederacy as a legitimate nation, escalating tensions. In April 1861, Confederate forces attacked Fort Sumter, a Union fort in South Carolina. Lincoln responded by calling for troops to suppress the rebellion. Afterward, Virginia, Arkansas, Tennessee, and North Carolina joined the Confederacy, and the Civil War officially began. By the time of the election, the United States was in the fourth year of the Civil War, which lasted from 1861 to 1865 and claimed over 600,000 lives. Lincoln, the incumbent president from the Republican Party, ran for a second term against George B. McClellan, a former Union general who had been fired by Lincoln for opposing his war policies. Lincoln faced a tough challenge as the American people were weary of the seemingly endless war. Casualties kept rising and the economy was in shambles. Lincoln's popularity dropped significantly as many saw him as a failure who couldn't end the war and was too harsh on the southern states. To show a message of unity, Lincoln chose Andrew Johnson, a pro-Union Democrat from Tennessee, as his running mate, an effort to demonstrate bipartisan determination to reunite the country and end slavery. Meanwhile, McClellan called for a negotiated peace with the Confederacy, although he personally still hoped for a Union victory. This led to criticism, as many feared his approach would allow the Confederacy to continue existing and preserve slavery. In September 1864, General William Tecumseh Sherman captured Atlanta, Georgia, a major turning point that boosted public morale. People began to believe the war could be won, and many Union soldiers cast their votes, overwhelmingly supporting Lincoln. On November 8, 1864, Americans cast their votes. The result, Lincoln won by a landslide with 212 electoral votes, far surpassing McClellan, who only got 21 electoral votes. In his inaugural speech, Lincoln reaffirmed his commitment to reunite the nation and permanently end slavery. The American Civil War ended with General Robert E. Lee's surrender at Appomattox Courthouse. Lincoln's 1864 victory not only saved the United States, but also paved the way for the abolition of slavery through the 13th Amendment. However, his second term was cut short. Just a few months after the Union's victory, Lincoln was assassinated on April 14, 1865. He was shot at Ford's Theatre in Washington, D.C. while watching a play called Our American Cousin. The assassin was John Wilkes Booth, a well-known actor and fanatical Confederate supporter who sought revenge by killing the Union leader after the South's defeat and the emancipation of slaves. This is the story of how Abraham Lincoln won an election during war and changed American history forever. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more historical stories. See you in the next video.